Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. We've got comedian Joe Bartnick. You can check out his latest tour dates, joebartnick.com, and he will be in 2 days, New Year's Eve, at Snappers in Fort Myers, Florida. So go check him out there if you're in the Florida area. It'll be a blast. And as always, we have the great Josh Yohe with The Athletic. And guys, so, we'll talk about Mario Lemieux's comeback and revisit that here in a little bit. But we had a couple games since the last time we played, and on Christmas Eve, the Penguins were in Toronto, and I was Christmas shopping in Cranberry, which was really stupid on my part because it was incredibly frustrating. But it was a little bit more frustrating listening to the Penguins walk around. I looked like the most miserable person in the world walking up and down the aisles listening to the game. They got handled by the Maple Leafs. It wasn't a horrific performance, but that certainly made last night's game against Chicago an important get-right game coming out of the Christmas break. Did it not, Joe?
Yeah, it was fabulous. I was hoping until I saw your summary of what we're talking about, we could just forget about that Toronto game because I did.
I'm okay with forgetting about it if you want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, we come out of it. Josh, and it was a cleanse. It was what everybody needed. The city needed it from the Steelers. The Penguins needed from their perspective, just starting out on the right foot after the break. Which I thought your article with Sid was fabulous as always. How last year the break sucked, and this year we really needed a break, and they came through. And I will beat this horse to death, but I'll let you step in right now, Josh. Let me just make this one point. Oh, what a difference Mr. Lizotte makes, because you know what? We didn't see Kevin Hayes. It was addition by subtraction.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hello, Joe. Hello, Corey. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Hope all of our listeners and viewers had a good Christmas as well. I agree with everything you said, Joe. First of all, Corey, you can't go shopping in Cranberry because there's so much damn traffic in Cranberry, even like on a random Tuesday. Like, I know this from being at the practice facility every day. It's a lovely area, but it's bound for frustration. And I would disagree with you. I think that was a horrendous performance against Toronto. I thought that was an unbelievably bad performance. We've learned this, though. That last game before the holiday break and that first game back, like, a lot of weird shit happens in those games. Kind of like in baseball, the last game before the All-Star break, like, it's usually a 2-hour game and everyone just wants to get out of Dodge, right? Mm-hmm. That's certainly what the game in Toronto felt like. And the thing that was most upsetting to me from the Penguins standpoint, I thought the Maple Leafs sucked that day. And I think they do suck. I think they're terrible. They were putting no effort in at all that afternoon on the 23rd, and yet the Penguins just gave them the game. They literally handed them 3 goals. So that was a disappointing performance, and that was a very unhappy hockey team in the locker room after that game. And the day after, or the game after the break, weird stuff happens. We saw the Penguins win a game in Long Island, I think 7-0 one time, and even like Puustinen scored a goal. Like that first game back after the break, when teams haven't really had time to practice. And in this case, the Blackhawks had played in Dallas the night before and were playing without Berard. So did I say Berard? I meant Bedard.
You said Brian Berard.
Wow, I got Brian Berard on my mind. Sorry, got myself. So let's keep that in mind. But that said, I think the Penguins needed a game like last night. Sometimes you just need to blow somebody out and feel good about yourself. And that's exactly what we saw. So I will caution people that was not a good team they were playing. The schedule's about to get a whole lot harder starting tomorrow night with Joe's favorite coach, Rod Brindamore, and the Carolina Hurricanes. But
regular season Rod, this would be a tough one. If it was the playoffs, it'd be a walk.
That's right. But they needed a game like last night. And I think Sid only having 1 point made it even better. Like, it got everybody involved. I thought every line looked pretty good. So that was certainly a step in the right direction.
I agree totally. And that Toronto game was just frustrating on the fact that it was just like 3 turnovers. It was literally all the culprits, Hayes, Letang, and Carlson. And it was just 2 bad hockey teams, and we gave them 3 chances. It just stinks that you have to hear Toronto media, but especially coming off of what a great performance that we had, in the Sid passing Mario game on Sunday that I attended. But getting back to the present day, what came out of this game for me was I think Shelov should be our number one goaltender.
It's, to me, the question, I was going to ask you guys in general is if this team wants to be a playoff team, I kind of lean towards Miroshov. But if it's not going to be Miroshov, exactly what Joe said, is Shelov's the guy?
Well, I mean, listen, he's looked better his last couple of games. So right now, you got to ride the hot hand if there is such a thing, right? I thought he looked pretty good in Chicago last night. He certainly played great down the stretch in overtime in the Montreal game that he won. And let's be honest, Stuart Skinner, it's only been 3 games, I think, with the Penguins, but he's been pretty underwhelming. He's not been good. And I realize the team's not been playing well in front of him defensively. In fact, I think that Edmonton game should be ignored because there's not a goaltender alive who would have stood a chance against that team that night. But even since then, Skinner's not looked good. He hasn't. And in his defense, he's with a new team. That maybe he needs a little bit of an adjustment period. But the fact is the Penguins have only won 2 games in the last month almost, and Shelovs was the goaltender in both games, and he looks like he's rounding into form a bit. I agree, Corey. I think Miroshov's their best goaltender, period, in the entire system right now. But if you want to stick with the plan and leave him in the AHL, okay, I get it. But Shelovs looks like the best guy at the moment, at least.
Well, I just wanted Picard. I didn't want Skinner, and Josh, you're busy writing your articles and Corey's busy living his life. And if I have an extra half hour on the road or I'm back from the road or I'm awake at my Western time zone, I'm watching the Edmonton Oilers. And, and everyone was just happy to get Skinner because they said, oh, he's a great guy in the room. That's like your girlfriend. Oh, she has a great personality. Great guy in the room. I want a guy that stops the puck. And Edmonton wins a lot of games 6-5 because of Jesus and Leon. And with the with our dynamic dual aging, or even not even available sometimes, we don't win those. We don't play those games. You need to win games 3-2. And I don't know if Skinner's capable of doing that. I mean, we can discuss about forwards and defense, but my biggest takeaway is Shelovs, who I was ready to give to Wilkes-Barre or waive unconditionally 3 weeks ago. He might be the answer, or at least some of it, Josh.
No, I mean, I will say this. And again, we're in the very early stages of Skinner. But one thing about him, I don't think he's terrible, but he is athletically limited. Like, that when you see him play, he doesn't go side to side very well. But that's his flaw. And when you watch how the Penguins play, they're just not a good defensive team. You need an athletic goaltender behind this team. I really believe that. And he's not that guy. So Shelovs is an athletic guy. He has that kind of talent, which makes him maybe the more intriguing option on some level, Joe.
Yes, Josh. And this is what's funny is he's like, okay, he's an average goaltender. This team needs a better than average goaltender. We see what they do with average goaltenders. We're talking about McKenna. When they have good goaltenders, good goaltending, we're talking about we're a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Stevens, Lemieux, and Tocchet and Ronnie are walking through that door. Like they need a guy that can make a bunch of saves. I mean, they're just not that good of a team.
They need to be built closer to the 90s Devils than the 90s Penguins. Like exactly. You said we're not gonna have Stevens. You need to be more of a shutdown team, and they are not that team.
or outscore a team. We're just not that good of a team. We're not. I don't think we're bad. I think we're better than most people thought. I've been praising them most of the season, even from the preseason. But all that means is we need 920 goaltending, 915. We can't have an 8.
Well, and that's one thing when you look back at the way the Penguins started the season. Like, were they playing better in October than they are now? Yes, of course. But for all of his flaws, Tristan Jarry was playing very well. He was giving you that 915 save percentage, and he was doing it. There were some games when, like in October, they played a game in Florida. Like, that was an onslaught, and Jarry just stood on his head in the third period. Like, there were a few games like that, and even Shelovs, to his credit, he came out of the gates hot. He really did, and that was a big part of why the Penguins' record was what it was in early December, because of that goaltending. It's just a high degree of difficulty to play goal behind this team. We know that. I think they'll be patient with Skinner and give him some more looks, but I also have the sense in the organization, like they didn't think they were acquiring Patrick Waugh. I mean, they got the guy partially because his contract was expiring after this season. It was really more of a future consideration thing to have a blank slate for this summer than it was like, oh, we got Stu Skinner. They think he's a competent NHL goalie, and that's that. But they're going to make the playoffs or hang around in this race. And Kyle Dubas said that's what he wants a couple of weeks ago. You need better goaltending than what you're getting right now.
Do you think? I mean, I think that they would probably all agree with you that Marashov's their best chance, their best shot. Shilov's, to me, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but he just gives me that vibe of like a backup goaltender that like can fool you into thinking he could be like a number one guy. You know what I mean? Like Penguins have had those guys over the years where you're like, let's stick with him for a little bit, and then once he becomes the guy, you're like, oh crap, like that wasn't
like Ned.
Yeah,
and Ned was like
exactly.
that, right?
Yeah. I will say this. That's kind of sad. Is she loves and she loves. So like when Jari was playing excellent hockey, it was like, oh, she loves is kind of playing the same as he did in October, November. We're just seeing Skinner like, well, we'll take she loves. That's
true.
Like in a way. And a point I'd like to make is, or a question I would like to ask is, does Muse want to appease our GM and play Skinner because Skinner was brought in? Or can they both agree that we did bring Skinner in and it was all about the clean slate? So we're not going to Dubas. You won't look bad if we can say, hey, you know what? It's how we got rid of Jari. We know Skinner's not the man and we have to play Shilovs. Or are they going to play Sheila? Are they going to play Skinner, Josh, to prove that, no, it was a hockey trade, or to prove he isn't garbage? Or are they going to give him too many chances, I guess I'm going to say, that is going to knock us back in the playoff hunt? Whereas if Sheila, because I think Skinner has not been good. Like Skinner has not given us a chance to win.
I agree. I don't think they've played well in front of him either, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
He's had in each of these games, he's had a couple of goals that were not good.
Right.
Far too many. And to answer your question, Joe, I think Dan Muse is just hungry to win hockey games. And I think he'll play whoever he has to play in goal. I don't get the sense that he's looking to appease Kyle Dubas or that they're going to give Skinner a set amount of starts. I don't think that at all. I think he's very willing to go with the hot hand, and I think you'll see that. My question is, it always goes back to Miroshov, right? Like, how much influence does Muse have in that? It's kind of hard to get a read on how long Kyle Dubas wants to leave Miroshov in Wilkes-Barre. I know Dubas thinks very highly of him. I know the organization in general, all the people I talk with, they think Miroshov's the guy. It's a matter of when he's ready. I think by next year for sure. There's always been kind of that gray area this season. Do you leave him down all season in Wilkes-Barre? Do you bring him up when necessary? Or if he's ready, do you just bring him up? And we don't know the answer to that. It might depend on the standings a month from now. If they somehow stick around, even if the goaltending's not great, they win a bunch of 5-4 games and they're right there in the race. I wouldn't be shocked if they brought Miroshov up again, but I don't think they have any long-term plans for Skinner, Joe. I don't, unless he really, finds his game and stands on his head. I don't think he'll be back in Pittsburgh next season. So I don't think there's a great sense of loyalty to him from their standpoint necessarily. They just want somebody who can stop the damn puck.
Yeah. That's what we all want. How about
and Corey? It's a hard job being the
Penguins. Oh yeah,
player. It is. This is not a good. Erik Karlsson or Chris Letang are on the ice like 80% of the time. One of them. Like that's hard. You're playing high octane hockey with a team that's not really equipped to do that the way it was 10 years ago. It's not an easy job, but he still needs to be back.
Letang had 3 bad turnovers. I can remember right now, last night.
Yep.
Like
early in the game. I know.
Yeah, they were like, just what are you thinking?
It's just getting to the point where you actually don't even, like you said, how you don't even notice it. Like I don't remember anybody on Twitter like really crushing Letang last night. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, more of the same.
Because they won.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
mean,
went up
that
so
helps.
early, people were in a good mood. But he
That
had a
helps.
couple of terrible turnovers early. That parent, like he's actually been better with Kulak a little bit. But Joe, I gotta give a little stick tap to you. You weren't a big Kulak fan when the trade was made, and he has been terrible so far in Pittsburgh. I've really been unimpressed with him.
The only good thing about that trade is they put Shea and St. Ivany together, which has been fabulous.
Yes.
I don't see why Graves can't get a shot again with Letang. Although I think it's the worst thing for Graves to play with Letang because I think it's just two wrongs are not going to make a right. You know, I think Graves needs a steady guy to play with, to be honest with you. But I just thought that his games right before he was demoted or scratched were some of the best hockey he's played, even keeping the puck in at the blue line. He never used to do that.
I know. Oh, he's been better. He didn't really do anything to warrant coming out of the lineup.
For forever, the way it
Right.
seems.
Well, it doesn't mean he's any good either, but he has been better this year, right? I mean, he has. It's going to be interesting, though, because I like Shea and St. Ivany together. Like, they look like 2 years ago again. I think that's a nice third pairing. St. Ivany, especially the last 2 or 3 games, has been much better. He's starting to get comfortable. So that's good. So if you bring Graves back, that means you have to play him in a top 4 role. I just don't know if they're willing to go there. But that said, Kulak has been wildly disappointing, and Letang, you know, the more he plays, the more it's hurting the Penguins more nights than most. So I don't know. It's a very interesting spot they find themselves on the blue line, and that blue line has been awful for about a month now. Really, even Carlson's play has eroded a little bit from where it was. Wotherspoon's really the only guy who I think's been pretty dependable most nights. So they've got real issues there.
Even he seems to be a little worn out from the inconsistencies of Mr. Carlson because it seemed like, I mean, about 3 times a game for the first couple of months, he was dazzling at the blue line where you'd be like, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, why did you even attempt that play? But he'd get away with it.
Yes.
and now he's attempting it and not getting away with it, which is really hurting us in the long run.
Oh yeah, there was the play that led to a goal in Toronto, and I think it was in the second period when he skated toward the left wing boards and lost an edge, and they got a breakaway. There was no need to try it. It was you don't have any help up high. Like you're putting yourself in an incredibly high risk situation. Carlson, he's going through one of those stretches right now. By the way, he didn't practice today. Apparently, he's dealing with an illness, which is why he didn't play much in the third period last night. But he's one of those guys. Alexei Kovalev was like this sometimes. Like sometimes the game's just boring to him, I think, and he needs to do shit to spice it up, and that's dangerous. And that's, in my opinion, when he's at his worst.
It's like a day trader.
Yeah, I want to discuss too. I'm not into Muse pulling the goalie with 8 minutes left all the time either. Like I don't know, that's kind of bush league to me. I know you got away with that with the Chicago Seawolves or whatever the hell you did, but to me that's like I don't need to see that. But the other, because it really made me mad though, and it pulled at the appropriate time, was Letang, stepping up when it's a 2-on-1 with an empty net is like, just quit. Like I was so frustrated. Like you could take 2 steps back and maybe make a defensive effort.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I hate when he pulls the goalie that early. That's become a trend around the league, and it's one that I don't like. Unless you're betting the over, I don't see any positives at all in that kind of a thing. It just
almost feels like you're getting to the end earlier. Like they're just trying to get like, let's find out, if it put me out of my misery,
Right. Yeah, like I don't know. Sometimes let the game play out a little bit, and maybe with a minute and a half left, pull the goalie. That's just my opinion.
And I've even been against the this has been going on forever, the making it a 6-on-4 with like 4 minutes left. I'm like, you're on the power play. Mm-hmm. You should be able to get a goal on the power play before you pull the goaltender and make it like, well, now it's all or like you could keep a few chips back. You have to push everything in the middle of the table with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, I don't love that either. And penalty killers don't have to worry about icing the puck because they're shorthanded, so they can take dead aim at the empty net too. It's I tend to agree with you. It reeks of desperation. It's not that hard to score in the NHL these days. Teams are blowing leads left and right. You don't always need to pull your goalie to do it. Sometimes that's almost giving up. So
You know, I
I
actually
agree.
always, as a defenseman, loved whenever people did the 6-on-4 because you could do the icing, but also, do you guys see this in the NHL? Even with how great they are, I feel like they never know what the sixth guy has a hard time knowing what to do on a power play. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like on a 6-on-5, you're the extra guy out there. You're just supporting everywhere, but they kind of get in their little set, and then like the guy's just kind of like useless sometimes.
Well, it's why like 4-on-3 power plays are a lot easier than 5-on-3s. Some guys will tell you. There's almost too many people out there. You want to get everybody a touch, get everybody involved. It doesn't always work that way. It really doesn't.
Especially when Anthony Mantha's floating around up top of the circle, not knowing what to do. They didn't figure that out over the Christmas break. And hey, Tony had a great game last night, and we had Big Braz. We just wait till Gino comes back.
Oh my God,
taking a while, but that line is going to be raging. But he's not a power play guy. I don't know what they think, Josh. But
no, I keep saying with Mantha, if you're not going to park his big ass in front of the net, then he shouldn't be on the power play. Like, I don't see what he's bringing to the table otherwise. Nothing against him. He's having a pretty good year, but I don't see how he helps the power play. I'm glad you mentioned Big Braz, though. Listen, I know he had the hat trick last night, so it's easy to talk about him now. But ever since he's come back, even though he only had a couple of goals in the last 10 games, like I've felt like he played pretty well, and he's been a noticeable positive during a time when the Penguins don't have much of that. And that guy's hands around the net, really impressive. I'm telling you, the hands, like, I've never felt like there's a fluky element to what he's doing this season. Like, do I think he's going to score 50 goals? No. Do I think he can be like a regular 20, 25 goal guy? Yeah, I do. When you got hands like that and you're 6'6", and he obviously has some chemistry with Malkin and Mantha, when hopefully Gino will be back soon, like, I think he's a really interesting player, and I don't think it's fluky. I think the guy's a legit second line winger. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from him.
That's such a great point, Josh, because that's what I was going to say. He is a legit top 6 forward, in my opinion. So that gives space, size, and a little deterrent. I like having a bodyguard for the big guys.
No, and again, Gino's skating on his own, so that's a good sign. I don't want to I don't know when he's coming back. I would guess in the next week or two he'll be back. That's just a guess. I don't know, but I think we cannot properly gauge the Penguins until Malkin comes back, simply because of what the record is with him in the lineup. Mm-hmm. And I do think that will be a significant boost for Braz and for Mantha, who they're both on pace for 20 plus goals. They've been productive players. They've still produced to some extent without Malkin. I'm very curious to see how those two guys perform when Gino gets back.
If they go back to performing 90% of what they were doing as a second line, I think we're safely a playoff team, barring injury, because they just the domino effect, the chain reaction of.
I love your optimism, Corey. Keep going.
Yeah, the domino effect. Like, they have to stay healthy. Because my point being is that Kindle coming up to the second line, it weakens the third line, which it just, the Penguins don't have the depth to afford any of that. Like, they can't. If they stay insanely healthy, I think they can be a solid playoff team.
I just think Gino, and I've said this a couple of weeks ago, I just think Gino changes the mindset. I think when you're up 5-1, you're up 4-2, as much as some people don't like, we're always playing offense. Yeah, but when it's 4-1, Gino is not going to sit back and let 3 goals happen in a row. He's going to slash somebody. He might be in the box and watch it happen, but it's just not going to go down on his watch the way it was just like watching. It was like watching someone saw your hand off, like 5 of those games where Gino just would not let that happen. And him and his line would at least be up ice for 25 seconds to give it a break.
Well, you know what? He has never been the guy to wear the C, but in many ways he is their emotional leader. He is. And no, I think it's a fair point. And Corey, getting back to what I was saying earlier about your playoff prediction, I will say this. When they have Gino, they have a group of playoff caliber forwards. They absolutely do. Like they have 4 pretty legitimate lines, in my opinion, and not every team can say that around the league right now. I certainly worry about the blue line and the goaltending, but no, they can score. And honestly, except for those 2 games in Ottawa and Montreal, like offense hasn't been the problem. Like during the streak when they gave up, when they lost 9 out of 10 games, they gave up 45 goals in those 10 games. That's 4.5 goals a game, and I think 23 were in the third period or something outrageous. So goal prevention is the issue here. But when Gino comes back, you got the big boy line as your second line. You got Sid with Raquel and Russ. You have to assume that line's going to heat up at some point. It always has. You got the kid line, which is probably going to be Tommy Novak, I would guess, with Kendall and McGroarty. That's fine. And then you got the fourth line. And we started the episode today by Joe noting Mr. Lizotte and the difference that he makes. I don't think they blow all those third period leads with Blake Lizotte in the lineup earlier this month. I really believe that. I think he's one of their best defensive forwards. I think he works his ass off. He's just a pest. He's a wonderful penalty killer. Blake Lizotte's a big part of this team, and that fourth line was good again last night, Joe.
Yes, and another thing Mr. Lizotte does, he seems to find empty nets.
Oh, yeah.
Like he can't
Never been in something we accelerate.
I gotta respect that. I respect guys who can do that.
No, 1,000%. Yeah, I and it's funny because after I read your 10 observations, I went and I just perused the standings, and I forget the saying about what a games at hand really are. It's I think Mr. Lang used to say it, but games at hand, I'll just say you got to win them. But if you do all the math, we are right there, which makes it even more disgusting. Like how many loser points we didn't, just like how many times we just didn't get the bonus point, of just whatever. But we're right. We are right there.
And if you have a free moment tonight, just go on ESPN's app or whatever you look at the standings, NHL.com. Look at how compressed the standings are in the Eastern Conference. The Penguins are literally like 5 spots from being in the bottom of the East, or 5 points, but they're also like 3 or 4 points from being in the playoffs. It's not maybe even it's never been.
They're 3 points from the bottom and 1 point away from the playoffs.
Sorry,
isn't that nuts? I mean, it's crazier.
That's what you're dealing with. So, yeah, December has been quite a buzzkill for Penguins fans, but they are a 5-game winning streak away from absolutely being in a playoff spot and looking pretty good. And if this, the losing ways continue for another week or two, we're all sitting here talking about Gavin McKenna. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's how important these next few games are for the Penguins and for everyone else in the East.
That's what scares me about the Skinner experience is we don't have games to throw away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't experiment with them.
I don't have time to have Stu find his game.
No, and I would also add that Shelov's, while he's been better his last couple of games, they still lost like 9 out of 10 with him in net or whatever. So he's not exactly the surefire answer either. And that's, even though the Penguins aren't good defensively, and we talk about that a lot, and it's obviously a problem, when you don't know who your number one goalie is, and when you're not even sure if you have one, that's a big problem. And that's, even though Jari was never to be trusted, there was a stretch there. I'm like, okay, we're going to ride him. He's hot. And he was good, and he won them a lot of games. They don't really have that luxury right now. And I think it's just in terms of the Penguins making the playoffs, like somebody's got to grab that number one spot. And Skinner certainly doesn't look like the guy.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder what the plan is in place. Or if they have, do they plan ahead enough to be like, well, you know what? If Skinner loses 4 more in a row, which heaven forbid, and Miroshov comes up, do they know what they're? I mean, do they think that way, Josh? Do they think ahead like that?
Yeah, sure they do. I mean, they don't always share information like that.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's shared. I'm not even saying it's on a notepad somewhere where someone could read it. I'm just wondering if.
Listen, if Skinner sucks a few more games, would they put him on waivers and send him down to Wilkes-Barre? Wouldn't shock me. I haven't been told they're going to do that, but I don't think they're in a position where they just want to let this season go down the toilet.
Okay, I guess that's kind of the question.
So if it comes to losing somebody on waivers or whatever, I think they'll do what they have to do if they think Miroshev's the answer. I really do.
Yeah, and I am not trying to bury Skinner. I'll be the first person to be chanting Stu next week. I'm not. I'm just. I think his performances have been barely above the word sucked.
Yeah, he hasn't been good.
It's like they haven't even been below average. They've been bad.
No, I agree completely. He has, and he knows it, and everybody knows it. He has not been good at all. And I'm curious, like if I'm the Penguins right now, like, okay, Shelov's played pretty well in Chicago. Like I wouldn't be doing this 50-50 crap. I'd be playing Shelov's against Carolina tomorrow night.
Exactly.
He wins. And guess what? I'm playing Shelov's January 1st against the Red Wings. Like hopefully Latvians don't like to party too much on New Year's Eve. Let him play against the Wing. I mean, seriously, ride him if he's going to play okay, because the 50-50 stuff worked in October, but only because they were both playing well. It's not really time for that right now.
Yeah, it's not girls CYO basketball. It's where everybody gets to play. No, I'm it's like,
Yeah. I agree.
Feel good moments are for girls basketball. They're not for the NHL.
I don't know. I feel like the analogy that came to my mind, as weird as it is, was like a woman on a biological clock who wants to become a mother. It's like we don't have time. We don't have time to waste around with going on these dates with Stu.
All of our lady viewers are just loving this content right now. I can tell.
Or are we live? Do they know we're live? Did we mess it up?
Well, no, I did. I just said I was like, you don't have time to waste dates on somebody random and waste time with.
Looking out for the ladies watching.
Yeah, that's my bad. My bad, Josh.
Oh no!
If we get any negative flack for that, it'll be me.
Are we live?
We're live.
Okay, so we have no one's commented yet. Wow, for sure.
No, I mean, what all I said was that sound.
Oh no, I don't mean about you. I just mean about the Penguins winning.
You sounded like the Phillies broadcaster. Are we live?
Yeah. No, because I would be hoping someone would have happy comments. I think it's a joyous podcast. Hey, we won 7-2. There we go.
The show is not live. This is not a comment. I love it. Thank you very much.
Good. Our viewers are very wise. And
they are.
It's funny because the way, Josh, when you said that, I had to replay in my head the last 10 seconds. Like, what did I just say?
It was
because I do have as my wife will always say, go ahead and drink whoever drinks every time I talk about my family. But my wife is just sitting there on the edge of she's trying to be my filter at all times. And it's getting worse, I'm almost 40. It's gonna be really bad in my 60s. But
let's one thing I did realize, and we didn't have any clips last week because I'm like, let me give Corey the week off. I'm like, it's Christmas week. But one thing I did realize, we didn't speak once about the ownership change. So we should do that after Bill.
Yeah, let's do that. And then
I literally listened. I'm like, oh, we didn't even talk.
Oh yeah,
we were so happy that we won. That Sid passed. Totally.
It was an emotionally draining day for Pittsburgh sports fans yesterday. We're all over the place.
Yeah. Oh god. And before we get to Bill, real quick too, this is just a footnote that I've always felt this way. And then Josh, you put it in the article, and I'm so glad you did, because it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know if I'm just thinking this or if it's real, but the fact that whenever the Penguins have blowouts and Crosby will have 1 point, it doesn't score a lot. Where Mario was the opposite. If the Penguins put up a 9 spot or an 8 spot, you knew Mario had 5 points.
I didn't look up any stats. That's just based on my memory bank. But there have been many blowouts over the years when Sid will have 1 point, maybe 2. But it's really weird. He doesn't go off in games like that. Whereas Mario, oh my God, he'd be frothing at the mouth if he had a 6-point night brewing. I've heard Artie's told me stories Artie'd be like, I'd be pushing people, making them stay on the bench if we were playing San Jose. I knew I was getting 7 points or whatever. I mean, that's the way those guys were. But Sid, not so much. And I actually told a story in my article. So one of my favorite memories, there's a game, it was 8 or 9 years ago. The Penguins killed the Hurricanes in Raleigh, so it was a while ago. And Sid only had 1 point or no points. And Mike Sullivan was real serious after the game, as always, even though they won 7-0, I think it was. And the great Dave Molinari looked at him and said, do you think a trip back to Wilkes-Barre for a few days would maybe help your captain out after tonight's performance? Jesus. And I started laughing immediately, and Sully tried to keep a straight face, and then he finally started laughing because how could you not? But no, it's true. Sid's not a point hound. He's not. I've always noticed that about him. He'll have his 4-point games like in a 5-3 win. That's
Exactly.
always how he's been.
Yeah.
Whereas,
yeah,
like
he'll
in the
have-
old days, like if you missed a game and you saw the Penguins won 8-4, it's like, oh, geez, what Mario do? Must have had 5 or 6 points, and he always did.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when Sid has like his 5-point games, it's like if he didn't play tonight, we don't even score. You know, there was no goals.
That's right.
So, you
Well,
know,
plus
we never-
Mario was the king of the very quiet 3-point game. I always can hear in my head Mike Lang saying, Mario, real quiet, 3 helpers tonight. You wouldn't even notice when he still have 3 assists or whatever. That he was different.
Yeah, that's special. But yeah, we'll talk about ownership and then talk about Mario Lemieux's comeback, the 25th anniversary. After we talk about Mr. Bill Neofus, which he had to have been riding that roller coaster of emotions yesterday with all the Yinzers, the Steelers down and then climb up the hill again to celebrate with the Penguins.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was real thrilled at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, let's be honest. And yeah, Bill and I chatted. We're also in a league where we pick NFL point spreads. And it's just been really hard this year. Vegas must be making so much money. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, but the good news is you can make good decisions with your money. How's that for a segue?
Hey,
By giving our friends at Neofus Insurance Group a call. You hear us talk about Bill every week, and give Bill a call, wish him Happy New Year, talk hockey with him. He'll talk your ear off. But along the way, you should also bring up some insurance, whatever your insurance needs are. Bill and his staff, who are like the nicest people in the world. They're unbelievable. They will put you at ease. They will help you through whatever insurance situation you may have. And they're not going to rip you off. They're good people. They're going to get you a good deal. Everything's expensive these days, but insurance with Bill is really not. And I speak as a customer. It really, afterwards, like, oh, that's all. That's not so bad. So give Bill a call. It's 412-364-3388. Tell him we sent you. He loves that. So thank you, Bill, as always.
Yay, Bill.
Thank you,
Happy
Bill.
New Year, Bill.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So we had an ownership change, and it actually went through. And that's kind of amazing. We didn't even talk about it. What was our emergency press conference? Was that was the trade? That wasn't
trade.
That was the Jari trade. So, it's funny because I actually was talking to a handful of different people within the Penguin organization that day about different things, business related, and nobody, wasn't even on the radar. Because I actually asked the question. I was like, hey, is there any thing going on with that? And nobody, this isn't people that would be in the know, by the way. This is just, employees and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, like an hour later, the news breaks. And I think it kind of caught everybody off guard completely. Elliot Friedman just all of a sudden, boom, it's there. And then Josh, boom, it's there. Articles come out and I'm like, here we are. We are in the Hoffman family group era. What did you hear, Josh, and how quickly did this come together?
Well, I mean, they'd been talking for months. We all knew that. And I had heard early to mid-November that in principle, they had come to an agreement. But the Hoffman family, and listen, these people are worth a couple billion. These aren't poor people. But they just didn't have the money up front, or as they say in the business world, the liquid, to make the deal go through. And I don't know exactly what transpired in the last few weeks, but obviously some money was moved around and they found a way to make it happen. So that, once they came up with the money, yeah, the deal was still there to be had. I don't know a lot about these people. I have learned a little bit just in talking with people who know them. I hear good things. Like I hear quality human beings who they just love hockey and they just wanted to be involved. They've already owned an ECHL team in Florida and they wanted to graduate to the big leagues. That's great. So I've not heard a bad word about anyone on a personal level. The only concern from people in the organization, and it's a real one, is like, do these people have enough money? Or are we looking at a Howard Baldwin kind of situation? For those who don't know the dated reference, Howard Baldwin was the owner of the Penguins in 92, 93, and 94, and wanted to keep the great team together, and he did, but he wrote a bunch of checks that he couldn't cash, and because he didn't have money, and nobody wants to live through that again. So I think that's the only concern that people in the organization have right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Howard Baldwin experience gave us two good things and one horrible thing.
Right.
It gave us sudden death.
Mhm.
It gave us Mario buying the team, but it gave us the feminine pigeon.
Yeah.
So, Howard Baldwin experience. Yeah, I mean that's anything scary. I mean, I don't think that Fenway Sports did a bad job. I mean, I think their network is good. You know, I just don't think they really gave a damn as much as we all did, and definitely as much as Ron and Ronnie Burkle and Mr. Lemieux did. So that was my biggest thing. So I just hope they have enough money, because it seems like, I'm not good at math, but it seems like they only have 200 million spare, and Fenway had like 10
Billions.
10 billion to spare.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Fenway, there was never an emotional connection between Fenway and the city, and I think everybody picked up on that immediately. That Fenway was just so corporate, and the Penguins were not their most important team, and everybody knew it. And they were an investment, and they doubled their investment. Great businessmen, okay. But yeah, Penguins fans could sense that, and that was a problem. But at least they had cash.
Mm-hmm.
You never had to worry about that. Kyle could spend to the salary cap. He could be spending to the cap right now, even though they're not drawing very well. He just doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to screw up the cap 2 or 3 years down the road when he thinks they're going to be good. So the money was always there, and they did spend a lot of money to make improvements to the arena, which they didn't have to do. So they weren't terrible owners. They just weren't invested the way we wanted them to be, I think.
No, I really liked the owner's statement. I thought it was a great statement to put out, whether he believed any of it or not.
It was smart.
it was a very nice statement. And B, though, I do have a little, I disagree a little bit on the attendance factor, because it's here in national media, they could draw 10,000 fans. I don't know. We certainly had a couple of 14,000 seat nights, but lately it's been pretty packed.
Yeah. I mean, when the product is there, like it's really a product driven thing for the Penguins.
Well, I mean, but you're on a Monday during school, and there's Monday Night Football. There's things happen. I'm not excuses. I'm just saying that it seems like there's a couple sellouts in a row there. In 17-5 is not no one is going to the arena.
Yeah, I mean that's a sellout at Mellon. Like it's
yeah.
It's here's my concern with the ownership group, and I heard this over the years from a couple different people about the Pirates, because I mean we all talk about Bob Nutting and he's crook and criminal and everything, but I've also kind of got the vibe, nobody that it's like, hey, I've looked at the numbers, that Bob, it's not that the Pirates aren't making money, because the Pirates are. But Bob doesn't have tons of cash to just go and be he's like a billionaire, but he's not ultra wealthy where he can just be like, whatever, I can afford to take the hit. And that,
by the way, Corey, I got to interrupt you because we've just had a trade to go down in the middle of the podcast. The Penguins have just acquired a Columbus winger, Igor Chinkakov, I think is how you say his name, 24-year-old Russian. Looks like they gave up draft picks. I'm just trying to get some information now because we're in the middle of a podcast, but wanted to pass that along. He is their first-round pick in 2020. Pretty talented guy who's not having a good season.
He was the disgruntled character who went from the first line to the fourth line.
Yeah, he scored 16 goals in 53 games 2 years ago, so there's got some talent. Looks like Kyle gave up some picks for him. I'm not sure exactly which ones yet, but stay tuned.
I wish he would have gave up Letang for him.
If Joe would have had any of those poppers or something for New Year's Eve, would have some screamers going off.
It's
but yeah, we'll wow, that's interesting. We'll see. Just keep it tuned here, and I'm sure there will be refresh your Athletic app, because you will be
trying to take a damn day off after today. Now I got a trade to write about. Oh well.
Yeah, it's such is the life of a beat writer.
That's right.
Now you have to learn how to spell his name.
This isn't exactly like John Jones or something. But he's a pretty intriguing player. He is only 24 years old. So interesting that Columbus decided to kind of give up on him. For those who don't know, he's 24 years old, forward, 6'1", 203, pretty good sized kid, 37 goals in 204 career games. So, and he's a talented guy. I've certainly taken note of him in a couple of their meetings against Columbus. So we'll see where he fits in.
Isn't it one of those things too, where if it's almost like setting the table, if you will, for in a month if we're nowhere, he's gonna be on the Penguins.
Oh,
because Raquel might not be.
That's
right?
absolutely true.
That's what it seems like to me. He's kind of the reinforcement of, well, we'll see what he's like in April, maybe.
We got you somebody. There's not
Absolutely.
no present under the tree. There's at least one. But yeah, interesting.
To get back to start off on the Mario thing, everyone has to read Josh's article on it, because I'm not going to even give it away. But it was such a revealing fact, like when someone tells a joke, like, why did I think of that? I thought it was a brilliant article on maybe the real meaning of Christmas that year. Mario coming back. But I will say this, I thought the real meaning was just stubbornness, not stubbornness, but frustration. Because I remember about beginning of December watching the Penguin power play, almost like I used to do 2 years ago, and be like, what is wrong with this power play? And I remember looking up and seeing Mario drinking a glass of wine, and I thought, he must be up there sitting there thinking, I could just do this myself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like he climbed out of the box and did it.
I think it was former CEO Ken Sawyer told a story. I think it was in 1999 or 2000. He looked at Mario during a game. He said, "You think you could still play?" And Mario looked at him like really insulted, like, kidding me? Like, of course. Yeah, I enjoyed writing that column the other day. I have a problem with dates. I remember way too many of them. So when I think December 27th, I always think of Mario. So that was the night of the comeback. And I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, 25 years. Gee, I should write something about that. I've been, a follower of Pittsburgh sports my whole life. And I've seen Super Bowls. I've covered Stanley Cups. Never seen a World Series because, well, I'm not that old. But that, to me, in many ways, is the greatest night I recall ever observing. I still remember what I was wearing that day. I remember where I had lunch with my friends that day. Like, the whole city shut down for that night. I still remember where I was when the news broke on December 7th that he was coming out of retirement. And it was just, the whole thing was so astonishing that he could be gone almost 4 years, be 35 years old, literally practiced like 3 or 4 times with the Penguins, and then just started playing on the top line and was by far the best player in the league again. With all due respect to Yager, who was in his prime, that no one could touch him. He was so much better than everyone else. There's never been anything like it. And nobody in the history of the sport in those circumstances would have returned and put up those numbers. I am utterly convinced of that.
Absolutely. I mean, Michael Jordan tried to do his comeback, and it was nothing, not even close,
Well, his first comeback was pretty good. After
no. I'm talking about the Wizards one.
But that wasn't
the mid-30s one.
Either.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah, the Wizards one in the mid-30s. No, Michael Jordan's first comeback was really good. Don't get me wrong. But the Mario stuff, I was thinking about reading your article and just, the fact that it was the anniversary. And you put it, when you said, I've seen Super Bowls, I've seen Stanley Cups, it's like, while those things feel unbelievable when they happen, there is the possibility, like every year you go into the season, like, hey, like they could win, no matter how slim the chances are. When Mario retired, though, it felt like a loved one died. And, you're like, well, I'm never going to see them again. You know what I mean? And then when he announced he was coming back, it felt like it was like they all of a sudden you found out they came back to life and resurrected. It just, I remember as an 11-year-old, I cried my eyes out when he retired. I mean, I actually cried many times that season because I knew it was over. Like I was just an emotional kid losing my idol. And then the whole time he was retired, I kept saying, every time we go to a Penguin game, I'd say, I took it for granted. I will never. I wish I could go back. I took it for granted. I didn't watch him enough. And the moment he came back, it was like, it was just, I get to focus on Mario and watch the greatness, in person again. It just was unbelievable.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Joe, when he retired at 31 in 1997, like it felt like he was 40 because he had been through so much physically. And you guys remember, like when you'd go to a Pens game in the 80s, early 90s, like you were just had your fingers crossed that you were going to see him appear at the end of the lineup coming out on the ice because, a lot of younger people don't understand. Like he always played in pain. His back was always bad. Some nights he just couldn't play. You never knew when it would happen. So he retired at 31, which seems crazy to a lot of people, but his body had been through so much. You almost kind of understood, even though it wasn't fun for anyone to not have the pleasure of watching him play anymore. So when he came out of retirement and what he did that season, 43 games, 35 goals, 76 points, like that's not human behavior. And Joe, I'm convinced that a part of why he did it was just utter defiance. Like, you think I'm not the greatest player of all time? I'm going to remind you one last time while I still can. It always had that feel to me.
Well, that's why I didn't want to give away your article. That's why it was such a great article because I know, but I'm talking about people to read it, but I enjoyed it as much as I did. But I do think the point of you never thought it was going to happen. And, we got our 2 cups and he saved the team twice already by then. But because of cancer, because of Bobby Volick, you still felt a little robbed of something. And then Mario came back, and then you didn't feel robbed about anything anymore because you got to see him one more time. And that's kind of that's not what I said. I talked to Staggy about it all the time about and I said on the radio a bunch of times that, okay, whenever, we lost in 19 and okay, it seems like, oh, woe was us. And, hey, we got to enjoy Sid and Gino now because they're not pulling a Mario. They're not coming back. Right. This is it. It's not going to be like, oh, yeah, well, we pay attention because in 3 years we'll come back. No, enjoy Sid now. Enjoy Gino now. Because what Mario did, literally no one did. No one ever. It was literally like if you would have seen Jim Brown, because Jim Brown kind of quit early. Mm-hmm. If he would have came back 4 years later and the rushing leader, he didn't do it. No one does that.
By the way, you just turned David Volek into Bobby Holick's twin cousin or something. I don't know what you did with the name.
Was that one? Okay.
I love it.
No, I hate Bobby Volek too.
I kid.
Bobby Holick is a funny guy. The big 6'5" center from Jersey who then took his talents across the Hudson. He's a funny guy who knew his own. He knew what he meant. He's like, when I'm your third line center, you're a Stanley Cup team. When I'm a first line center, you're not a Stanley Cup team.
He was I think he was the ultimate that guy. Yeah, that's actually
he was Jordan Stahl with a mean streak.
That's actually a great call. He was a good player, but no, and I should add those numbers that Mario put up, that was at a time when nobody was scoring. It was impossible to score then. The game was terrible. And it was a really bad time for the NHL. Mario retired in 97, Gretzky retired in 99. Scoring was way down. Lindros was always hurt. Yager was hurt a lot too. There wasn't really the star power. The TV ratings were down. It was a bad time. And Mario showed up. And that whole season, starting on December 27th, it was like a dream. And it was showtime every night. It was the 5-forward power play with Mario and Yager and Robert Lang and Straka and Kovalev, that. Those were good times. They really were.
Oh, it was
2 great lines. Oh, it was centered by Yanni Hrdina.
Yeah, that team didn't have much else, but those top 2 lines were so good it actually didn't matter.
Oh yeah, no, they had Alex Hicks, number 33.
Oh my
Merrill Hodge playing center on the 4th line.
Merrill might have been better.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Better hands.
You know, it's funny. Speaking of that year, I just Johan Hedberg. That was that year, right? Was that the Hedberg year?
Sure was.
I just the other day, going through stuff in the attic, came across a shirt that we must have bought at the Strip District that said Hedberg USA, and it had a picture of the city of Pittsburgh. It's oh, we definitely bought that shirt probably May of 2001, because I think it pretty quickly became not Hedberg USA.
I don't know if you've seen this go around too. This is not the comeback, but just is even well, it is a comeback, but just the cancer comeback. There's a thing going around the video that I saw a couple times come through, and maybe I'm sure it's all in your algorithms too, hockey and Penguins and Lemieux, but about how just LaFontaine knew that he was telling his line mate, there's a locomotive train coming down the track. And Lemieux's gonna catch me, and I know it. Yeah, and the guy's just like, yeah, I think he was up by 18 points, and by the end, Mario was up by 30 something. So, but just to hear the Islander guys talk about it's just the best. Just how they knew it was coming.
That's not to, because there's people, that will say like, Gordie Howe, you weren't in that era, so you don't understand. He is one of the top 4 ever. And I'm like, I could kind of get why he's not. So I hate to sound like this, but for the young people that didn't watch, like they won't understand how much better Mario was talent-wise over everybody ever. Like,
well, he was Gretzky was Gretzky, and no one's taking anything but Gretzky. But there was something about Mario in the same way that like Dr. J was just different than everybody in the NBA, where it was like, whoa, that you just couldn't. It was like he was just better, yes, but also just more spectacular and could do things that nobody else did. That's why I say he's the king of the witches.
Yeah, he had a box office appeal that was different. Go look at his goal highlights on YouTube compared to anyone else. Every one of them was a highlight. Mario scored 690 goals. Like, honestly, 500 of them were highlight reel goals. I'm not kidding. Like, they really were. And that's, Gretzky, Sid, Ovi scores the same goal every time, which is impressive in its own way, but it's, he's had a few great ones, sure. McDavid's probably the closest. Like, McDavid scores a lot of goals that take your breath away. He's maybe the closest in terms of pure talent we've seen since Mario. But yeah, I always tell people, like I say it every week when we always find ways to mention 66, but when you were watching a game, especially in person, when he was on the ice, you just watched him. Your eyes just followed him. You literally weren't watching the puck. And I've never, as a sports fan, as a reporter, I've never been to an event where all I do was just follow one person. But when he was on the ice, it's all you did, because the way he moved was different. The way he saw the ice you could tell it was different. Everyone was going that way, and he would go this way, and then the puck would come to him 2 seconds later. How the hell did that happen? Like, and Gretzky had that ability too, but Mario was like 6 inches taller and 50 pounds stronger. And yeah, I mean, he was the ultimate attraction, like just a charisma on the ice. Probably something like Elvis or something. Really, like there was just no one else like him.
Oh, I mean, with how larger than life he was. If you've ever shook his hand, it'll make you feel like Kenny Pickett in like 2 seconds. Like,
that's good.
Like that little meme of like the small hands. Like I shook his hand. I was like, I'm not like a small guy, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy, he's a big guy.
He has the only 3 people I've met that have charisma that you could carve out like Spog on Scooby-Doo. And that was Mario, that was Bill Clinton, and that was Peyton Manning. Of all the famous actors, athletes, rock stars I've met a lot of people. Those are the only 3 that was like there's like a glow.
There's something about Mario when he walks into a room, even if you didn't know who he was. Even if you didn't know who he was, you'd say, "Who's that guy?" He's somebody. Yeah, I mean, he carries himself, and I don't think it's something he means. It's just how he is. There's just a regal, royal quality to him that not many people have, and everybody who's ever been around him always says it. Like, there's just something about that guy. It's a little different.
Yeah. There's I think about it too. Like it's strange, a little strange to me, but like my son, when he got really into hockey, like Mario Lemieux became his favorite player. Like my son's 10, and like I'm like I don't understand that, because when I was growing up, like Terry Bradshaw wasn't my favorite Steelers quarterback. Like I just was like, oh, Dad, that's great that they won when you were alive, but I'm focused on the guys that are here now.
Like, I love Mark Malone.
Oh. Yeah, I had a Bubby Brister jersey. I wore it to school one time, and that was that. I got made fun of, and I was like, nope, not doing that again.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like Mario has that lasting impact where I'm like a 10-year-old who was born, 14 years or 10 year whatever, it's 10 years after he was done playing. It's like bought his jersey and like talks about him and tells people like, "Hey, he's my favorite player." And people say, "What about Sid?" And he's like, "Well, I like them too." It's a like a lasting legacy. It's unbelievable.
You know what's an interesting question, and we can never answer it. But would Mario be this beloved, or this? Would he still be this way if he didn't buy the team and save it again? Like, if we just had normal, if the Bartolo just never sold the team, if it was always just a regular team, and he just went on and would show up, come back for reunions and awards and whatever, wasn't the king of Pittsburgh if he was just a regular hockey player. I guess he can't be, and that's why he'll never be not remembered as the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Would Sid be more even? Because in our minds, Sid will. Because I'll tell you, like to me, like I actually like Big Ben and Terry. Maybe I think because Terry had Mean Joe and Lambert, and Terry's like one of the guys. But Big Ben to me is like Big effing Ben, and he's like whereas like Sid and Mario, like I love Sid. Sid gave us 3 cups. I love Sidney. He's not Mario.
No. Oh man, Sid says that kind of stuff about Mario too. I mean,
I'm not trying to insult Sid. I'm just saying, would it be more like he's just a regular guy, or because he saved us twice and he's around and he's the owner? It's like, does that perpetuate his legacy more?
Maybe. I mean, we see
or
things,
was he just that great? Or was he just that great?
Like I sometimes, this is kind of a morbid thing to say, I guess, but I think about Clemente sometimes, and if he never died, like. He was obviously a legendary figure in Pittsburgh and by all accounts a wonderful man, but his death almost made him probably a saint almost. Maybe he would have been anyway. Maybe we would always view him in that manner. I don't know. With Mario, like when he bought the team, he didn't just buy the team. He kept them from leaving Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like, was there some selfish reasons for it? Maybe. I'm sure he didn't want his legacy to pick up and go to another city. But I also think he did it out of love for Pittsburgh. If you know anything about Mario, and he's such of a quiet guy, it's hard to get to know much about him. But I've studied him pretty thoroughly over the years. If Mario likes you, his loyalty runs deep. It really does. He has the same friends he's had his whole life. Like he is, by all accounts, an intensely loyal person. And he's loyal to Pittsburgh. That's where he chose to live his life. The fans treated him well from the day he showed up here in 1984, and he would have got his money one way or the other. I truly believe that he just wanted them to be here, and that he thought they belonged in Pittsburgh, and he wanted to make it happen. And yeah, how does that not help your legacy? Of course, it had to change things a little bit. We might not have thought any differently about his personality or about the player that he was, but it makes him, in my opinion, the most important figure in Pittsburgh sports history.
I'll repeat myself. Of course it's it's Mean Joe, and it's Mean Joe, and I would put Frank. It's like Mean Joe, it's Mario, Mean Joe. People want to put in Clemente, and then you can Sid or Franco, whatever. Okay, but in the real world, it's like Mr. Rogers, Jonas Salk, Andrew Carnegie, and Mario. like Mario's bigger than sports.
Yeah, no, he really is.
He
is more synonymous with the Penguins than any athlete has ever been with any franchise, and it's not even particularly close, I don't think.
And his charity work. That's it's like you can't even dismiss any of that.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody knows my story about like all the hospital stuff we had to do in the last year, and it's like it just touches you every time. We were down at DV. Children, like DVE does a great job as well with their Rock's Children's Hospital. But it's like everywhere you go, like there's an Austin's Playroom. There is, there is so much that Mario has given this city. It's unbelievable, and there's just this element where he's always felt like one of us, like, the night that Austin was scored, and then he goes or scored the night that Austin was born. Austin eventually scored later in life, but when Austin was born, and then he scores 5 goals against the Blues, and it's like he like drove down Forbes Avenue from the hospital to go to the game. Like, he was just a Pittsburgher. Like, he's like, hey, like I got to go to work, honey. Like, good job on having the baby.
One of my favorite Mario stories is the night he scored the goal on his last radiation treatment in Philly. His flight to Philadelphia was canceled, and he was with Cindy Himes, who was working for the Penguins at the time. She was basically their media relations person, and they were flying to Philly together. And she looked at him and she said, "Mario, what do we do? Like, the flight just got canceled." And this was the early 90s. Cell phones were still kind of a new thing. And she said, "Mario, do you know anybody who has a plane?" And he goes, "Huh, as a matter of fact, I do." And he whips out his cell phone, and 5 minutes later, they drive to the county airport in West Mifflin, and they fly out of there to Philadelphia. And so that's he is a Pittsburgher through and through. He truly is.
Yeah.
So how hard do you think he took yesterday's loss?
Yeah, it's a great segue.
Sure, he wasn't amused.
Oh my God. I mean, I said this I was making sure to be very careful because people will think, I mean, you see how it is on here, like the Penguins win 7-3, and I'm like, hey, we're back in the playoffs. Like, kind of like Mike Myers in Mystery Alaska, if you've ever seen that movie, where he's up and down in between periods every time and analyzing the game. But I was very careful to say that if the Steelers beat the Lions and took care of business in Cleveland, then I will take them legitimately as someone that could come out of an AFC that's pretty wide open. And they did. I said it had to be in workmanlike fashion, not like a last second win. And they did the opposite of win in Cleveland in a workmanlike fashion. They were embarrassing. Like, just every facet of the game on offense wasn't working. Going for it on 4th and 1 and throwing a fade that was not even catchable. It just was like, what happened between last week and this week?
I've been watching Steeler football for over 50 years. I knew they were going to lose that game. I just knew they were. But I honestly think they're going to win on Sunday, because that's just what they do. They were going to make it very difficult, and they could have easily won that game. And I'm not a Jim Nantz and Romo fan to begin with, but the nauseation of that criminal trying to get a sack record made me puke. And then who cares if he got it? They treated the Cleveland Browns like they were the 86 Giants. It's like, oh, this guy's a superstar. This guy's uppercomer. They're 3-12. It's even sadder that we couldn't beat them. But Jesus Christ, the Browns suck. The Browns had 2 plays. They let Deion's kid run 40 yards. He knew. I think he could do that all game. And then the one pass catch, it looked like the guy forgot how to play defense. He fell down like he was crippled. It's like, I mean, 2 plays, and that's what beat us, because they played like a bunch of scared girls.
I only have a couple of takeaways from that game. Like, there's so many different things we can touch on, but I guarantee you the Steelers win that game if DK Metcalf plays. I think it crippled their offense. Not that he is Jerry Rice, but he does consistently draw double teams, and that does make it a little bit easier for them to run the ball. It makes it easier for them to incorporate other people in the passing attack. They have no other receivers. We saw that very clearly yesterday. Him being out of the lineup is probably going to be a problem next week. It sure as hell was against what is a good defense. I also thought the Steelers just played scared all game. Yeah. I mean, they let Rodgers wing it in the last minute, and all of a sudden they move the ball like it's nothing. Like, all game, it's 2-yard passes and little screen pass and little. I understand they were limited offensively, but you're not going to beat anybody in the NFL if you're going to be that hesitant and that conservative. And I also just hated how flat they came out. I mean, my God, you got a chance to win the division and give yourself a week off before the playoffs. To come out flat like that against a rival, didn't speak very highly of the coaching staff.
I mean, Freiermuth, he wasn't there the rest of the game. They finally found him open, and they're going to be in trouble because Mount Washington is out.
Yeah, he broke
So
his forearm.
besides the fact that they need to throw to somebody, they need people to help block, because Baltimore has a real line, not just one guy. They have a real defensive line. The whole game was just a pathetic display of being scared.
It was, and I'll say that I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. I've given up trying to figure out the Steelers. But I'll tell you this, if they lose on Sunday, and especially if they get their asses kicked, which is possible with this team, who knows? If Derrick Henry runs wild, the atmosphere in that stadium toward Mike Tomlin is going to be unbelievably ugly. I mean, it's going to be on national television. Pittsburgh's going to let Mike Tomlin know what they think about him. That's going to be quite a scene. That also, if the Steelers play great and win, well, it's going to be a great festival, and they win the division, and they host probably Houston in the playoffs the next week, and everybody's happy. It's going to be a fascinating night.
I you know what? And this made like the top 5 news on the New York Post. In the top of their headlines is that the Steelers are letting Metcalf keep all of his bonuses, which they could have taken away because he was such a moron for punching that fan. And the New York Post was laughing at us. Like, whatever the tone of the article was totally like, yeah, this guy messed up their season, and they're still going to give him all of his money. And if that doesn't say everything you need to know about Art Rooney III's leadership, that's because I thought your tweet was perfect, Josh, when you said, wow, who thought, I guess punching a fan isn't, I'm misquoting maybe here, but the gist of is not exactly not a thing to do for your team. But you know what? And the people that had the gall all last week, because I didn't tweet anything, I don't get involved, to take that guy's side, whether he called him an N-word, whether he shot his mother. You're not allowed to touch the fans. How stupid do you have to be? And that guy wasn't even next to you. You didn't have to walk through him or by him. You walked over to him. I think they should cut Metcalf just on stupidity. And I wouldn't give him a nickel. I'd make him walk back to Seattle.
It was undeniably selfish. And you know what else it does too? If the Steelers lose on Sunday, all we're going to remember this by is, Metcalf ruined the season. It's going to take the heat off of Mike Tomlin is what it's going to do.
Tomlin's probably going to tell you it's fine.
They were going to win the division, but then DK, like as if there's not something wrong with how the organization's being run in general right now. But I will, not to play devil's advocate, because I know what you mean, Joe. The only problem the Steelers have, and it would be a problem given the current state of the NFL, if they don't give Metcalf his money and use that stipulation, there's a lot of players around the league that would want nothing to do with playing for the Steelers in the future. That's just the reality of the business.
Yeah,
and
that's
a lot of
probably why they did it.
Of course, that's why they. I mean, yeah. And I don't know. They don't have any other receivers anyway. Not that he's lived up to the hype either. But man, if I'm DK Metcalf, I am so nervous on Sunday night. Like, I don't think anybody's going to be cheering for the Steelers more than DK Metcalf is on Sunday night.
I don't know.
He has to live with that for a whole year.
I don't know. Do you even think he cares? Honest to God, I think he's just worried about his $500,000. I will say this though. Did Tomlin lose the Lord this year? He doesn't wear his stupid big cross anymore around his neck. Is he completely lost his faith in this team?
I don't know. It's a fair question. Maybe the Rooneys need to have some more priests around to help out a little bit. We need many priests at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday night.
Yeah, better go back to Ireland, Art.
Exercise the demons. It is, winning whenever it matters most. That's their biggest problem. And I just can't, Mike Tomlin to me is so underwhelming in the big moments, because he doesn't, not that you want the guy to be like full, like rah and like getting but like show some emotion, like show that you're mad, show that you're embarrassed, instead of coming out and saying stupid quotes after the game, like what Seth Rarbaugh's great tweet during the Bills game when he said like Tomlin's going to come out and say something like, we're trying to eat soup with forks and we need spoons, and it's like, it's just so accurate. It's so tiresome. I'm so over it. and the team just, I don't know. I have this hunch they're going to lose. Now that I look back on, I don't know, the Ravens aren't really that good. They might only have Tyler Huntley, which he actually might give them a better chance against the Steelers than Lamar Jackson, historically speaking. I don't know. It's just the fact that it came to this is pathetic. And you know, yeah, they kind of looked like Myles Garrett actually, I agreed with him. It looked like they were more concerned with stopping him from getting the record than maybe playing a fluent offense. And then, you know, guys like Adam Thielen dropping balls, and you know,
I am the king of field goals are for losers, but I think he should have kicked that field goal.
In that game yesterday, they were valuable.
I think he should have kicked that field goal. And I was a little scared when the spot I thought was further than a tush push that Hayward could just pretend to get it. You know, like, okay, it was a yard, and heaven forbid that the line actually blocks somebody. But if you are going to go for it, you got to 5 wide. As soon as they went 5 wide receivers, I'm like, there's no way we're going to get this unless they jump off.
Oh, no.
There's no way.
We all in unison said, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, like what? You know,
why 5 wide?
5 wide. So, but you got to kick that field goal. You just have to. There's no.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I guess you know, next week if the Steelers make the playoffs, maybe we'll have to try and make a push to get Mark Cabali back on the show.
I have a question. What is worse, not for you personally, because for me personally, to end the season next Sunday would be the worst for me because I have some other issues, some other workings. What is worse for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin? Is it worse to lose, not get blown up, but a 24-21 game, whatever the kicker that isn't a massage therapist rapist kicks a game-winning field goal and Baltimore wins 24-21, or we win 21-10. We're winning and then the Buffalo Bills come in here and beat us, which they would, like 48-6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the Texans, even though the defense is great, are a better draw. I think the Chargers coming out east in the snow is a better draw. I think the Bills would absolutely destroy us.
No, but my question is,
what's a better result? I think the better result, I mean, if it's the Bills or lose to the Ravens, honestly, part of me says lose to the Ravens. But for Mike Tomlin, if it's more than if they're down by more than a score in the second half, if it's a more than a 7-point lead in the second half, they're down by, I think it's going to become very, very loud in the stadium. I think it's not going to just be some fire Tomlin chance. It's going to be. If it's a close game and they lose on a field goal, like the fans won't have the chance to react to that. But
still better for Tomlin to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I know what you're saying, because obviously the last few playoff games have been an embarrassment. I still think it's more embarrassing to lose at home to your biggest rival with the division on the line after you lost the week before against your other biggest rival, who's pathetic, with the division on the line. Especially if you lose to a backup quarterback this week. We don't know if Lamar's going to play or not. Either one's bad for Tomlin, but I still think the Steelers, being the way they are, would take some pleasure and some pride in at least beating Baltimore and still winning the division.
Yeah.
Whereas if they lose out these last 2 games, when I think they had like a 91% chance to win the division or something, when you look at all the numbers, it's not a good look. It really isn't.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's better to make the playoffs, but my only thought was if they go to the playoffs and get blown out by the Bills, then you're going to hear the fire Tomlin chants in the playoffs, which would be something. You know,
well, you're going to hear them Sunday night if they lose that game anyway. But yes, I mean, and it's almost like a playoff game this week anyway, right? It's on, it's a national.
We all knew it was going to be on Sunday night.
Oh, there was no question. No, it's a fascinating time in Steelers history for sure, and there's never been more pressure on Tomlin, at least from the standpoint of public pressure. I don't know what the Rooneys really think about. They may never fire him. It wouldn't shock us. But in terms of his approval rating in Pittsburgh, he better win this game, because if he doesn't, oh man, I mean, the whole city's going to turn on him. Just the way it is.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
We'll
see what happens.
We're gonna beat Jersey tomorrow night. That's all I know with the new Russian
what's his name? And Chinkov.
the Chinkov experience, the Chinkov era has begun.
Let's go for it. The Penguins, let's just say that was a get right game. That was a nice slump buster last night. And we're back on. Let's hopefully get back on track. And we'll be talking about just a pile of points that the Penguins got over the last week, and the Steelers getting ready to go for the Super Bowl next week. So let's think positively, people. But we appreciate you all as always. If you are in Fort Lauderdale, go check out Joe at
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
Wrong coast.
Yeah, right. wrong side.
And
Fort Myers.
And then that was on New Year's Eve, and then this rest of the weekend I'll be at Snappers in I'm spacing the name of the town. It's the other location. So.
Okay, well, if you're in the Florida area,
Tarpon Springs.
There you go. Check out Joe Bartnick, and you can, if you need to, just follow him on Twitter or go to joebartnick.com, and we will talk to you guys next week.